Welcome, everybody. I'm Tab Dromo, and this is Social Selling TV. Today's guest is Steve Olsher, and I met Steve, through Push Button Influence when we formally met, but I've known of him for years. And it's funny, last year I was reading a book called What Is Your What? And it's like, oh, that's a great book. And my wife kept asking me, aren't you fixed yet? You've been doing personal development stuff for like 20 years.
That's good. That's good.
And so there's always room for improvement. So welcome, Steve.
Thanks, man. And how is that improvement going?
It's continuous effort. I mean, it's you kind of you make some momentum, and then I've been through like 5 careers in 30 years.
Yeah. Well, in the scheme of things, that's actually not a bad number when you consider. I think the average person changes careers like every 4.5, 5 years or something like that. So you're doing okay, man. Yeah. It
used to be we changed jobs. Now it's really changing careers.
Right. Yeah. Cool, man.
So let everybody know you got a really diverse background too. So like, how did you get started in this internet marketing world? And you have lots of things outside internet marketing too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it really just boils down to entrepreneurship. I mean, I think that's kind of the common thread that ties it all together. And boy, I mean, I think even as a kid, like talking like early teenage years, just trying to rake leaves and shovel snow and do whatever I could do to, try to make a few extra bucks. I'm just always kind of been wired that way, man. And that's led to music and DJing and catalog world and .coms. I actually opened up my own nightclub when I was quite young. And that all then moved towards real estate. And after the real estate crash, I got involved in writing and speaking and doing more online marketing. But yeah, it's been an interesting trek over the years. And I think really at the end of it all, the bottom line is I just really love money. I mean, I'm a Jew and I love money. So I think that's really what my what is. Just I want people's money.
That's awesome. Yeah. I just asked my crowd, my audience, what they really want. They say want more money and more time.
Yeah.
That's the 2 things they want from me. Teach them how to get more money and more time in their life.
Yeah. And if you can figure out how to do both at the same time, then you got a real winner on your hands.
Yeah. So how did you write this book? I mean, that's very funny because I read the book and then I didn't put 2 and 2 together until like when we met up in San Rafael. I'm like, oh, that's the Steve Olsher.
Right. That's that guy. Since, Steve Olsher is a really common name. You see a lot of folks walking around with that name. But, and honestly, true story, I think of, there's very few names in the world where like, if you come across somebody with that name that you're related, like Olsher, if you come across an Olsher, Olsher, we're all related somehow. So it's a fairly rare name there, but reality is that it was a book that I needed, I mean, it's, they say in Authorland, you write the book that you most need. And that's really what Is Your What represents, is my creation of a framework that really helps provide focus and guidance in a way that just really couldn't get out of things like the What Color Is Your Parachute and the Myers-Briggs and the Strengths Finders and that sort of thing. I mean, they all really seem to leave me with more questions than answers. And so the What Is Your What framework is really quite simple, but at the same token, quite powerful. And if you can gain clarity on just those 3 pieces, it makes an immense difference in your life.
Yeah, like I said, I've read many of these kind of books, and I've really kind of just been through it. But your book took me so much deeper than all these others. The other ones scratched the surface.
Yeah.
It left me totally unfulfilled.
Well, it's interesting because there's a lot of light, fluffy sort of reads out there, and What Is Your What is not one of them. It's definitely a book that requires you to do some introspection, and even gives you room to write in it. So it's kind of a combination of a journal, if you will, along with exercises, but then of course the narrative to go along with that.
Right. So what you said you needed to do, you wrote this book because you needed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was going on in your life? Was this after the real estate crash?
It's just been a continuous question. I mean, throughout my entire life. So it's not just that period of time. I mean, I've actually been actively involved with both crashes. So there was the crash that was the .com crash, because we actually had we launched very early online. I launched on CompuServe's Electronic Mall in 1993.
Wow.
So launched really early online. And then that company became liquor.com, like what you drink. And I picked up that domain in 98.
Wow.
And so we had a real business. We were doing real revenue. Everything was going the way that a business should be going in terms of the trajectory. And we got greedy. We really just got greedy. We saw that .com light and we got blinded by it. And so we filed the S1 and we were ready to go public in March of 2000. And of course, that's when everything pretty much imploded. So, that was the first crash, and then got involved with real estate after that. And then, of course, everybody knows, the whole real estate story around 2006, 07, 08, and got caught up in that as well. So timing truly is everything. But I do think that there is something to be said for that continuous search that I've been really just undertaking now for as long as I can remember, which is, what is that one thing that I'm really meant and made to do? And it's become clear that it really, it boils down to just simply having the entrepreneurial endeavor in front of me to focus on in that moment. And that's my true gift, is really seeing that opportunity and communicating that opportunity. And so communicating is in fact my core gift. And we all have that core gift, whatever it might be, whether it's healing or entertaining or, enrolling or protecting or whatever it might be. And then it's a matter of how do you tie it to the other two pieces of the what is your what equation, which is the vehicle that you use to share that gift, and then the people that you're most compelled to serve. And I think what I've become increasingly comfortable with is that the fact of the matter is that your gift is consistent. That'll stay with you throughout your whole life. But the vehicle and the people is they're more fluid, they're more organic, and those can change. But ultimately, the common thread for me is communication. That's that gift. And then it ties back to being involved with some sort of entrepreneurial endeavor that really puts a fire in my soul. So, I mean, ultimately, my what truly is being able to communicate and share stories of those who have also been able to discover their what and have impacted the world as a result.
Yeah, so money drives you, but the communication is really what you're all about.
Yeah, the core gift for sure.
Because the way we communicate now is so different than 2000 even.
Yeah, it's amazing, really. I mean, if we had now what we had then, I mean, and vice versa. I mean, it works both ways because, of course, the business has changed quite a bit since that period of time from 91 to 2000 is very different than what liquor.com is now. Still actively involved with that. But the truth of the matter is that it's night and day. I mean, the way that people are able to connect and communicate, people say, hey, by 2000, the internet was in full stride. Not really, I mean, things are much, 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 much different now. And it's much easier to connect with the masses now than it's ever been, for sure. So it'd be interesting if we had this, sort of these same sort of parameters, these same variables in place back then, what that company would have done.
It's hard to imagine what it's going to be like 10 years from now, even.
I mean, you're just going to think about it and it'll like show up in your head. I mean,
right.
I can't imagine where else we can go with this, but yeah, I mean, Alexa, give me this and there it is. And Siri, give me that. And there it is. And they'll just implant chips in all of our brains, Ted. And that'll be the plan. And then we'll just download everything we need. Kind of like the Matrix.
Well, exactly. We're heading that way really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be able to print things at home instead of waiting for Amazon to deliver them in 3 hours or 2 hours even.
or less. I mean, it's frightening. They're going drone now with a lot of stuff in Europe. I don't know if you've seen some of that, but it's all the robotics. And so if you're trying to figure out like what to do career-wise at this point, if you're not into robotics or AI or VR somehow, you're probably gonna be out of a job.
Yeah. No, I was back in Milwaukee last month for a wedding. We toured the Miller Brewing Company, the plant.
Yeah.
They make 500,000 cases of beer every single day. And there was like 3 guys standing there watching them go by.
Yeah. Yeah, not a hand touches it.
Yeah. And now they have a warehouse. It's 12 football fields long. It fills up and empties every day. And the forklifts are all automated with laser. There's not a person in that room.
Unreal.
So all these factory workers don't have jobs. So they need to learn robotics or whatever, because that's where it's all about the process automation now.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
You don't just pick those bottles and put them in a box. Like
or go build the Hyperloop and call it a day.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So if anyone has questions for Steve, you can go ahead and type them in, or we can even unmute you. There's only a few people on, but.
I'm glad to see. I brought out the masses. Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy to.
Well, this is my first test, and I put it on my social selling TV. And speaking of communication, I started doing 1-minute LinkedIn videos, and I've been posting on my social selling TV channel and putting them on YouTube. And I'll tell you, that's what people want. They don't want to wade through any crap. They want, tell me how to do it right now.
Yeah, and if you figured out, how to make that happen in a minute, there, that's a skill we all certainly could benefit from, no doubt.
Yeah, well, Twitter kind of started it with 140 characters.
And it's hard to say some meaningful stuff in 144 characters.
But
but it's adapted. Good exercise.
Yeah. So what else are you up to now? What's next for you?
So what's next for me? Yeah. Obviously, Alex and I were working together for a while, and we'll see. What happens on that front. I don't think we'll be doing too much together moving forward. It's just kind of the way of the world. So we'll figure out what to do with Push Button Influence. As far as that brand and that training goes. So that'll still be a part of something that I'll be doing. To what extent, we'll see. But there's that. And then, as I said, still actively involved with liquor.com.
Yeah.
Working on another book right now. And so I've got that coming, and a lot of automation right now, moving towards evergreen funnels and those sort of things. I mean, kind of late to the game as far as all that's concerned, but better now than never.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the Push Button Influence was an amazing program. You guys over-delivered like crazy there.
Yeah, it was a really, really, really good program, and it still is. And the training and the teachings there are spectacular. I mean, there's no doubt at all about that. Just absolutely spectacular, and really those that dug in, I think, got quite a bit out of it. But that's just like anything else. I mean, those that put in obviously will get out. Quite a bit, but none of this stuff is easy. None of this stuff happens automatically. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the energy, you have to put in the effort. And so, reality for me is that at this stage, that training still, I think is really, really powerful. It's still very appropriate. And I think there's an opportunity there for other folks to learn from those teachings. And so, we'll see what happens with PBI.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, the students that have gone through it, those who, as I said, actively participated, they've been doing some pretty interesting things.
Yeah. For those of you that aren't familiar with Push Button Influence, it was a program. Really, they taught us how to create our own weekly show, how to really get our brand out to the masses in multiple formats, podcasts, video, and really a lot of people have really taken off since they started doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. How you said the training has helped you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I have this TV show now. I really was thinking about it. Now I'm doing it.
Yeah. Good, man.
I've got a branded YouTube channel. I've got this Apple TV channel.
Yeah. And ultimately, I think that the more that you can get sort of into that repurposing mode of taking one piece of content and using it on multiple channels, the better off you'll certainly be. And that's something that I still think that a lot of people don't do well enough. I mean, they don't. A lot of people aren't doing it at all, actually, and those that are, there's definitely room for improvement for a lot of folks there.
Right. I think the key of that was just do something. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it, and you get better and better. You build an audience.
Yeah, and I mean, reality is it never will be anyway. I mean, because you look back on some of your old websites and you'll just be like, damn, that was really bad, like that. What was I thinking at that point? But at that point, that's what you thought was really good.
It was probably state of the art back then.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to the power of just really putting something forth for the world to judge and shift out of that critic mode into that creator mode, and that's hard for a lot of people to do.
Yeah. So a lot of my clients and a lot of my friends were like mid-50s, and their careers have come to an end. The company's been acquired. Every company I ever worked for has been acquired or is out of business, except for IBM.
Yeah. So basically, wherever Ted has worked, don't go work there.
Exactly. Don't be my coworker.
I think ultimately that's the moral of the story.
It's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, the other thing that I'm doing, just speaking to shows, is Reinvention Radio. And what we've been doing with Reinvention Radio has been really, really fun. We've had a lot of interesting people there over the years, and we've been doing that now. I've been doing that off and on since 2009, but more full time for the last 18, 24 months or so. Mm-hmm. And so we do that as a live radio show, and we then repurpose that as a podcast. And that really has taken off and has done quite well. And we'll see. We'll see where that ends up going. I think that what we're doing there is fairly unique in terms of it being a mix of entertainment and education, but also business and life in ways that you don't really see in a lot of shows. And then the fact that we do it sort of as a morning zoo, where there's multiple co-hosts that are with me, mm-hmm. and we do it live. It's definitely a very unique format that, in my way of thinking, is certainly where the puck is headed, because people want to be more engaged with the people who are creating the content. Right. So as opposed to just simply, kind of like what we're doing now, as opposed to just simply hitting the recording of this, more people, I think, over time will be tuning in, especially what you see going on with Facebook Live and the other media. You'll see that people are really leaning towards live as the main channel for content creation and distribution.
Isn't that interesting that people are really like this live internet broadcast, but like television, people don't watch shows at 8 o'clock at night anymore. They watch them on demand most of the time.
Yeah. Some do. Some do. It's interesting because we're still in that early adopter phase. I know a lot of people think like we're way down the road and it's late to get into the game. But as far as like the bell curve is concerned, reality is that the number of people who are involved with new media on a daily basis, still like right about here. So it's still in this area. So there's all of this room. Less than 10% of the population gets their content through new media channels in any way, shape, or form. And over the next 5 years, you're going to see that change dramatically. So the time to really get involved in this, in this world is now. And so we're work out the kinks now because you've got a lot less people watching. Right. But those numbers will continue to increase. Right.
Yeah, things are moving so fast. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If you think about newspapers, we were visiting some friends last weekend and they get the newspaper delivered still.
Yeah.
They get out in the morning, it's a ritual still. And it's like, wow, I knew this news 36 hours ago.
Right. Hey, did you hear about this new Apple iPhone? They got this phone thing. Yeah. Great, Gramps. That's awesome. Really appreciate you sharing that with me.
Yeah.
But again, it speaks sort of the power of push versus pull media, because ultimately what you see in the newspaper world is still that push media, right? It's basically a select number of people are deciding what will be aired, when it will be aired, where it will be featured, who will be featured, and they control the content. Right. And what you're really seeing is that new media revolution where people are saying, I don't want to not only wait until you give me what it is that you think I want, but I don't want you to give it to me. I just want you to put it out, and if I want it, I'll go get it.
Right.
And that's the biggest difference between push and pull media. And ultimately, those who are focusing on sort of that push relationship between reader and creator, or viewer and creator, you're going to see a lot of those folks end up the short end of the stick as far as where where things are going here and how people are consuming content and entertainment.
Yeah. Yes. If you're in business, marketing is changing so fast. You got to really keep up with it, or in 2 years, you're going to be out the door, literally.
Yeah. And it's scary. It's scary for a lot of people, because especially if you're the type of person that has been getting the newspaper and reading the newspaper every single day for 30 years, what do you do? What do you do when that newspaper goes away? And for a lot of people, that's a really scary thought.
Yeah. Or local businesses, they from the yellow pages, now there's no more yellow pages, really. They've had to adapt.
Yeah. I actually got a couple of yellow pages in our driveway the other day, and it used to be like they would like wrap them in plastic, and they'd be stacked up, nicely. You'd get like 3 or 4 of them, like the white pages and the yellow pages and the local thing, and this, that. It'd be a nice little, just shrink wrapped pile of books that you'd find on your front porch, and you'd bring them in and you'd put them in a nice cabinet somewhere, and every now and again you'd look at them.
Yeah.
Now, like literally, I came home, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and there were 2 yellow page type books just literally just like thrown on the driveway. Like they know, like the only thing that's going to happen is people are going to take those and go straight to the recycling bin with them. So they don't even care anymore. They just throw them on the driveway, and who's still buying ads in yellow pages? That's actually a conversation I'd love to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Good salesman there.
Evidently. Yeah. I mean, we got to bring those people on staff, because they are doing something right. If you can sell yellow page ads to people still, that's some serious skill.
Ours came recently, and it was like, instead of big, thick, it was like quarter of an inch thick.
Yeah, and the back cover, instead of being like, for the attorney who will get you out of jail or whatever it is, it's an ad for like, Yelp. Like, why do you even read, it's like, why are you even holding this in your hand? Just go to Yelp, So it's like, even those guys understand that they have to get the last little bit, because it's like so many people are fighting for the existing folks who are using this stuff on a regular basis. You probably want to fight for those that haven't quite came, into the fold yet. So maybe that's something to think about. Is how do you get those last folks who are still getting the yellow pages and reading newspapers, to become your loyal customers.
Right. So you're kind of always on leading edge of stuff. So what advice can you give people listening? How do you keep up with the latest trends?
I really like the TechCrunch, Gizmodo type publications of the world, just because when you see where the money is going, you see where the future is. Because ultimately what's being funded now is what you're going to be consuming a year from now, right? And so that's what I like doing in terms of staying on top of those trends, is look at where the money's going. Because ultimately, if a VC firm is throwing money into a particular business or a particular genre, or a particular type of business, particular industry, there's good reason for that.
Right.
These guys don't just nilly-dilly with their money. I mean, they're doing a lot of research. They're spending a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources, basically to do the work for you. And, the same thing with mutual funds. If you look at where the mutual funds are investing, that'll give you a pretty good understanding of where the opportunities are. So that's certainly something that I would recommend that you do. I mean, I could tell you, as we talked about earlier, that from my perspective, anything that is in that, the VR world, the virtual reality world, anything that's in the IA world, the artificial intelligence world, anything that's in the IoT world, the Internet of Things world, anything that's going to be dancing or touching upon that, and those, and robotics, you're going to be hard pressed to go wrong. And then, of course, you got people like me who dance in the vice space, and I think that the vice space is going to do nothing but continue to grow, especially with the legalization of marijuana, which you'll see certainly in California this year, and you'll probably see it in other states as well this November.
It's interesting. There's a restaurant here, a Greek restaurant in Mill Valley, and it's interesting. They just applied to become a marijuana seller. So once it goes legal, they're going to close the restaurant and take this huge space. It's
they're smart.
They've been around for like 25 years, and we're just going to shift gears here.
Smart. What I was going to, where I thought you were headed with that, was they were going to figure out how to grow and basically, just incorporate the product into their food, which I think would be a pretty interesting idea for a restaurant, but. We'll talk about that on another day. But again, it's just a matter of here's the crystal ball, but you don't need to be a fortune teller to be able to see where things are going. I mean, it's pretty clear. Yeah. Then with automation, these self-driving cars. I mean, cab drivers are going to be gone soon. They're talking about trucks that drive themselves on the interstate. It'll happen. Yeah, it'll happen. And if you're into stocks and that sort of thing, I would short anything that touches the automotive industry right now, whether it's the car makers, whether it's the insurance companies, whether it's the body shops. I mean, it's trickled down. It's the gasoline, all of those entities they're going to get hammered. There's no way any of the real estate, any of the REITs, that invest in like gas station oriented, properties, that sort of thing. Any of that stuff, if you short, I don't think you can go wrong. Right. Yeah. It's good advice. Well, thanks, Steve. This has been really entertaining. Yeah, man. Well, appreciate you having me on, and it's good to see you doing the live stuff here, man. Yeah. So how do people get a hold of you if they want to learn more about what you do? Sure. Best place is check out Reinvention Radio. You can hear that on iTunes or Stitcher or one of those channels. And if you survive that and you actually still want to learn more, then probably Steve Olsher, OLSHER.com would be the best place to go. Awesome. Yeah, I love your podcast. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Thanks. Well, thanks for your time, and we'll be talking soon. All right, my man. Sounds good. See ya. All right, take care. Bye. For more free training, visit socialsellingminute.com.